Hello everybody and welcome back to Extra Holiday Games. I'm Extra Holiday. And we are in Wendy's Frosty Fortress. Yeah. I like Frosties. I could go for a Frosty right now. But I don't know that Wendy's is open right now. And B, it's like a half-hour drive to the nearest Wendy's. I don't think I want to drive a half hour just for a Frosty. We also don't really have any ice cream in the house aside from coffee ice cream, which is not really what I like. It's more my dad's taste. I'm more of a cookies and cream kind of guy. Or mint chocolate chip. Well, mint chocolate chip is like the occasional one, right? But like, I'll take vanilla or cookies and cream or cookie dough. Some cookie dough. See, the weird thing about cookie dough ice cream is sometimes they use vanilla ice cream with cookie dough in it, and that's the kind that I like. But sometimes they'll use sweet cream ice cream with cookie dough in it. And I'm not as big a fan of that. Because as far as I can tell, the sweet cream just tastes like butter. And like, the cookie dough by itself is already buttery enough for me. The little chunks of cookie dough, so I don't really need more of that flavor. Mixing it in with just regular old vanilla, I feel like is the best idea. Yep, okay, that one's tricky. I haven't gotten past that point yet. Which makes me think that I might be bad at this game. Just maybe. Okay. Definitely not true. Definitely not true. I'm definitely not bad at this game. He says as he dies for a 50th time. Actually, is that 50? Oh, 27. It's probably pretty close to 50. Like, I'm not counting. I'm sure as hell not counting because that's a pain in the ass. And I'm not going to make future me do it either because that would be even more of a pain in the ass. But yeah, it's been a lot of this. Like, I'm not trying to emphasize how much I suck at this game. But I've lost a lot of lives. Someone who was better would have lost less lives. Okay. That one's it's so hard to kill your momentum on that one. So hard. Why's it gotta be so slippery? Got him. Okay. Alright. Okay. This time, we die. That's what happens this time on Dragon Ball Z. I watched a video earlier. Again, this is the series where I just reference a bunch of other people's stuff. I watched a video earlier. I don't remember. It was last night, I think. I watched a video that was the Frieza versus Goku fight from Dragon Ball, or Dragon Ball Z specifically. Specifically the original Funimation dub of Dragon Ball Z, which I found was odd that they didn't use Kai, but especially since it was a recent video, I think. But it was that fight, but actually in 5 minutes. And that thought intrigued me because I was like, could they have done it? It's like, and it turns out like, kinda. Oh, that felt good, but I cut my momentum too early. But yeah, you could definitely tell that the video was edited in such a way because like stuff was sped up and things were cut weird in one or two spots, but it was a cool idea, and I did enjoy watching it. But it just makes me think, like, well, my first thought was like, wait, why didn't they? They could have done this. Why didn't they do this, you know, when they were actually making the show? And the answer is because they needed more filler. Because they were trying to let the manga get ahead, I believe, as was often a problem for shows like, for basically all the Shonen Jump manga of the time. Because unlike now, those shows didn't release in seasons. So there wasn't really a whole lot of time for the manga to get ahead of the anime, so their solution was to be like, okay, we're just gonna drag this out as much as possible. That's probably my biggest problem with shows like that. I know Dragon Ball Z has Dragon Ball Z Kai, which is supposed to fix that problem. I haven't actually seen it yet, but if it's true, then if it does what it purports to do, then I'll probably try and watch it, because I haven't actually seen the show in forever, and watching it in a way that's not bloated would be nice. Also, it's all redubbed and it's like in HD and stuff, and that's cool. But I feel like they could it would definitely be worth giving that sort of treatment to something like Naruto, because I feel like Naruto is a really cool show. I really like it, except for the pacing. Like, and I know it's not exactly a controversial opinion, but yeah, if they did some sort of remaster of Naruto and they cut out all the like flashbacks in the middle of the fights that don't really add anything, and they cut out like the 300 episodes of filler that came at the end of the original Naruto, and basically if they just cut out all the filler, remastered it, well, I don't think they'd have to do too much remastering, because I'm pretty sure towards the end, at least, the end of Shippuden, at least, they were putting them out in Blu-rays. But yeah, it would be nice. You know, honestly, I don't even think they would need to redub it, because I feel like the dub is fine, aside from the one glaring error that they fixed eventually. Well, fixed in that they stopped doing it. That's only if you can believe it. Yeah, but I don't think they'd have to redub it. I think the dub is fine. I feel like just a visual, basically just a re-edit, and like maybe touching up the earlier episodes, animation-wise and drawing-wise and fidelity-wise. That would be neat. I would like to see it. Honestly, if they did that, like, I'd be more tempted to buy that than to buy DBZ Kai. Because as much as I like DBZ, I've gotten that story like 18 million times through the games. Because for a while I was playing basically every Dragon Ball game that came out. Well, I'm exaggerating. I was playing the Budokai games, and like each and every one of those went through the story every time. So yeah, basically from Budokai 1 all the way through Budokai Tenkaichi 3. Actually, I think I had Tenkaichi 3, but I think I had it on the Wii, which was not the optimal system for that game. But I'm pretty sure I had it. Point is, I've seen the Dragon Ball story a lot. And not only that, not only have I seen it through the games, But I've watched through the entirety of Dragon Ball Z Abridged, like, at least twice. And while that's not exactly the same show, it's got basically the same story. It's just kind of funnier. So, yeah, I'm very familiar with DBZ, the story of DBZ. One thing I should do, though, is at one point, back when Netflix was a DVD rental company, I was renting the Dragon Ball DVDs from them. Not Dragon Ball Z, but just Dragon Ball. And I got a decent way through it, but I didn't finish it. And I kind of want to go back and finish it now. I don't know if if I actually have it written down on my list of stuff to finish, but because I keep a list of anime to finish, or anime I'm watching, anime I've finished, and anime that I want to watch. And the list rarely gets shorter when it comes to stuff I want to watch, because I actually don't watch a lot of anime anymore. But I've got the list in case I ever find myself with a bunch of time and I'm not watching a crap ton of YouTube videos. Although, admittedly, probably the next thing I'm catching up on is Ruby, which I consider an anime. Some people might not, but yeah, Ruby. I need to catch up on that because I kind of sort of lost interest after Volume 5. Because Volume 5 was kind of meh. And like, man, it's kind of really sad, and I hope they fix this in Volumes 6, 7, and 8. But like, one of my favorite things about Ruby, and I think one of a lot of people's favorite things about Ruby, and one of the reasons why Seasons 4 and 5 didn't really jive well with a lot of people, was the fight scenes. The fight scenes in the first 3 seasons were always super cool. Like, they were awesome. And it was great. It was always a treat to get a fight scene in an episode. Like, I can't name a bad fight scene in the first 3 volumes of Ruby. Whereas in volumes 4 and 5, things seemed that the fight seemed a lot more tame. You know, there wasn't anything really crazy happening in them. And that, I feel like that's one of the biggest things that was missing. One of the other things I think is I'm gonna try not to spoil things for people who haven't seen the show, because I do still think it's worth a watch, at least the first 3 volumes. But after volume 3, the characters, I feel, lose a lot of their personality. And some of that can be attributed to, and some of it makes sense with what happens in the story. But it also just kind of makes them less interesting to watch. So it's a little, I don't know. I tend to not be interested in things that take themselves very seriously. And I feel like for volumes 4 and 5, Ruby took itself quite seriously. Whereas the first 3, it knew how to crack a joke, you know? Which is good. Like, honestly, if there's anything that draws me to something, in just anything, if anything draws me to anything, it's comedy. Because I like to laugh, you know? That's probably my favorite thing to do. And I guess that's probably not a strange thing, but I don't know, if something can make me laugh, like, no matter how like dark and dreary the rest of it is. Like I dig it. So yeah, it kind of reminds me. I don't remember where I heard this, but at some point I remember hearing like the difference between something that's dark and something that's edgy, particularly in a piece of media, is that, well, the similarity is that, you know, things are bad, you know, things aren't looking good, and things in, you know, things could be better. I'm saying the same thing over and over again. I really don't need to rephrase it, I don't think, but the difference between being dark and being edgy is that if things are just dark, that there's still some hope. And that hope is what gives the despair some sort of profoundness to it. It's not just it makes the characters and the setting and what have you seem more justified in being, you know, down and dreary if they're not just that way all the time. If there's like some semblance of a chance that things could get better and the characters or the story itself acknowledges that. If there's no hope, then it's just like, why am I even watching? Right? Like, what's the point? I know how this is gonna end, so like it loses basically anything that might be interesting about that story. It's basically like, I know where this is going, and I don't want to watch people just be sad all the time, so I'm just gonna stop watching, you know, or reading or what have you. And I feel like that's pretty useful advice. Again, it's not my words, I heard it somewhere. But I feel like that's pretty useful advice if you're trying to make something dark, and especially if you're trying to make people take that sort of thing seriously, is you want to have some light within the dark. Because otherwise, another thing about that is like it's just not realistic. There are very, very few times in a person's life, and you know this varies depending on from person to person, but most people, there are very, very, very few times in their life where everything seems hopeless, and it seems that way for a long time. And that's the other thing about humor too, is, and this is again something I heard maybe in the same place, maybe somewhere else, but humor often adds realism. And it's kind of weird to hear, and at least it was for me at first. But like, if you think about it, if you've ever been to a funeral, you know that people will crack jokes at funerals. Like, they'll reminisce at the very least about, you know, funny experiences they had with either with the deceased or other people there, because nobody wants to sit there and just be sad. So, you know, they take the opportunity to, you know, find happiness wherever they can, even if it is a sad occasion. And so if you're writing a story of some sort and you don't and there's no humor in it, then it's just unrealistic, right? people are going to crack jokes no matter what the mood. I mean, maybe not in every single moment, but eventually, yes. Like, things could be really tense, but like, once people are out of that situation, they'll be like, they'll probably have a joke or two about it, you know? At least someone will. So, yeah, that's how humor creates realism. Which is also another reason why I'd like to be good at being funny. Since, you know, it could add to whatever stories I'm trying to tell. Because I've written stories before that were just all doom and gloom. And it wasn't... I mean, they were competent, maybe, I would say. But they weren't interesting in any way, and they didn't really... Looking back, they weren't really... It wouldn't really be easy to get invested in them. And I think a lot of the reason for that was because I had this binary mindset of, okay, this is either meant to be funny or it's meant to be serious. And that's just not how it works. All the best stories are a mix of, some sort of mix of humor and seriousness. And I will absolutely, those are my words. And I will stand by them, because I really do believe that. I really do think that to have a good story, you can't just do one or the other. Because we can talk about the other side of the spectrum too, where if everything's a goof, like there's no stakes, right? There's no reason to care about what happens in the story because nobody's taking it seriously. Which is also why in comedy you'll often see that there's one person who's playing the fool and one person playing the straight man. You know, one person who's goofing around and another who's taking it seriously. Because that's more interesting than just having two goofballs doing nothing but goofing. But maybe we'll do some more goofing next time. Because, as for this episode, that's a wrap. Oh, yeah.